21 before the hour on America in the Morning. Our guest is Bob Mazur, the undercover agent who infiltrated Pablo Escobar's Medellin drug cartel. He's the author of New York Times bestseller, The Infiltrator, and now a new book, The Betrayal. Bob, at one point there was a $500,000 price tag on your head because of your discoveries. Who put that bounty out on you?
Most likely a man by the name of Gerardo Moncada, who was the right-hand man of Pablo Escobar, and probably Pablo Escobar himself.
So how naive are we as citizens like myself as to the extent the proliferation of drug activity and money laundering?
I think the truth would scare most everyday citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, these organizations own countries.
I think most of us would feel, and maybe wrongly so, that this was a bigger problem in years past. Is it growing? Is it under wraps? I mean, you worked 27 years as a special agent for the IRS, the U.S. Customs, drug enforcement.
It unfortunately has grown exponentially. We can see that from the unfortunate fact that last year in the United States alone, 107,000 residents in the United States died from overdoses of fentanyl.
Yeah.
You know, fentanyl is not just manufactured and brought into the United States by the Mexican cartels. It's really as a result of their association with the Chinese triads that control the unregulated pharmaceutical companies that pump this stuff out.
Yeah.
It's a global conspiracy. We indicted the former the active Secretary of Defense of Mexico about a year or so ago because of his involvement in a Mexican cartel.
As I recall, the U.S. sent him back to Mexico. Then what happened?
Surprise, surprise, 30 days after they got him back, they decided that the evidence wasn't substantial, and he was acquitted.
So The Infiltrator was the New York Times best-selling book, a film starring Bryan Cranston. Now your new book, The Betrayal. How do the two differ? What's The Betrayal about?
Sure. Well, The Betrayal talks about a number of different levels of betrayal. I got the opportunity after the undercover operation that is addressed in my first book, The Infiltrator, to go back undercover, this time to attempt to infiltrate the Cali cartel as well as some parts of the underworld in Panama. And in the course of doing that, there were a number of betrayals that I ran into. First is that about 6 months into the operation, little did I know that my undercover partner, long before, had become an asset of drug traffickers and had outed me to the leadership of the Cali cartel and nearly got me killed.
This was a U.S. agent that worked with you?
Yes, it was.
And he exposed you as an agent to the bad guys?
Yeah, he sure did. And that became my primary goal, was because we knew it because of an informant at the highest levels of the Cali cartel who had been assured not to be disclosed as an informant. So we knew, but we didn't have the evidence. And so I stayed undercover at that stage for another 3 months so that we could get the evidence that we ultimately did to prosecute that agent and put him behind bars. Unfortunately, only for 11 years, but it was still a success. But there are other betrayals that I address. You know, there's a betrayal, in my view, which I think is just our insanity of doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. We're not being successful in this war on drugs, and there's other things that we need to do.
Well, I guess one successful element is that you're still here.
This is true. You know, well, one of my betrayals is the betrayal by me, a betrayal to the people I love the most, my family, and I guess I best exemplify it by a truth that occurred. You know, I first went undercover when my daughter was 9 years old, and my last work undercover came when she was 17 years old, and it took from that period of time until we went to the premiere of The Infiltrator for her to see the film and then privately share with me her comment, which was, you know, Dad, I finally understand and I forgive you.
Wow.
For the families of many, you know, I'm just one of many, many people who have done this type of work. And I know I have the privilege of getting the opportunity to be heard on your show by active military who are serving around the world. And they and their families know what this type of sacrifice is. There's nothing that I ever did that didn't get accomplished without a team that was very supportive. And everybody who is part of this knows that this is not a job to be done by individuals. it's a job to be done by teams who address these threats.
The book is The Betrayal. Its author, Bob Mazur. Thanks for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you.